There may not be a single player in the Nick Saban era that Alabama needed to come back more than Dylan Moses. With all the injuries and all the freshmen having to step up, Moses now becomes the leader of the Tide defense, and his story heading into 2020 is all about redemption. Moses didn't even see the field last year after tearing his ACL in fall camp, so his numbers don't pop out. But his sophomore season was awesome. He led the team in tackles, a finalist for the Buckus Award, and second team All SEC. So what would a successful season look like for Dylan? Well, number one, you gotta stay healthy. Number two, be a leader for all those freshmen and sophomores who are gonna have to play a lot of snaps. And keep being that star Bama needs him to be. It might be the difference in a championship season.
Matt Zenitz with AL.com joining me now. Matt, you look at Dylan Moses and how shocked everybody was that he came back. But with him coming back, I can't think of one person who Alabama feels like they really have needed to come back in the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a significant boost for them. And it was funny because throughout the course of the year, the buzz was that even missing the season, that Dylan was still leaning in the direction of leaving. That was at least what people outside of his family were getting as far as the sense that they had at that point. And then there was just a growing buzz that he was giving more and more consideration to coming back, to the point that it reached a point in time where that was the expectation. Obviously, he ultimately made the call to come back, which, for Alabama, it's great. This is a player who, even missing last year, if he had come out, especially with a weak inside linebacker class as far as the NFL draft this year, the NFL people I've talked to feel like Dylan would have still been in position to be a second or third round NFL draft pick, even with missing last year. And coming back, I think if he had been healthy last year, would have been one of the top inside linebackers in the country. I obviously was in the mix for all of those preseason awards, preseason All-American, and all of that. And I would imagine that would be the case again this year. And along the lines of what you talked about, just a huge boost for Alabama to get that kind of player back, that kind of figure back as a leader in the middle of this defense. It's obviously going to be looking to have a more successful year defensively than what they had last year.
He was among a bevy of injuries at linebacker, which has been a chronic problem for the last 3 or 4 years now. If he wasn't injured, we would have seen guys like Shane Lee and Christian Harris come in as freshmen and really make a difference. Is that going to make a big difference for this team when you have more guys who saw action last year who could help out Dylan Moses in 2020?
Yeah, it helps those two guys specifically a lot. So you saw combination of Christian Harris and Shane Lee play a lot last year. There were obviously some growing pains. We weren't perfect by any means, but at the same time, they were able to get experience. And as is the case for any young guy that's playing, you're going to get more comfortable throughout the course of the year as you're playing. So it goes from being a group last year as far as that inside linebacker position, where it was a significant concern for Alabama throughout the course of the year last year. And you go from that to now that being a position of great strength and depth this year, with obviously Dylan leading the way. You have Christian Harris coming back, who's a high upside player who, is a Dylan Moses-like athlete there at inside linebacker. And then Josh McMillan coming back. You have some flexibility with him where he's obviously played inside linebacker, but because of the depth you have there, maybe you can move him outside, which is a position where that's a question mark for Alabama going into this year. And then obviously have Shane Lee also, who did some good things last year, and somebody else who, like we were talking about, got experience throughout the course of last season and got more comfortable as the year went on.
Yeah, you add Christopher Allen to that list. And to me, it seems like this defense is going to be more equipped, barring any big injuries like last year, going to be equipped to stop a lot of these spread offenses that they had problems with last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah. Obviously, it starts with Dylan. He's going to be the leader for this group defensively, and getting him back is just huge for this defense as a whole. And once again, this inside linebacker group goes from being a significant question mark, a weak area for this team last year that different coaches around the conference felt like was an area that they could exploit going into matchups with Alabama. I doubt you're going to hear too many coaches saying that they're so confident about exploiting that inside linebacker group this year with Dylan back and leading the way there.
We all know the long list of star Alabama linebackers in Nick Saban's time. Do you think, in your opinion, that Dylan Moses has a chance to have as good a senior year to get on that list, be a top 15 pick, and be a guy who NFL teams really want to get?
I mean, he's a really elite player that is a potential first round type talented inside linebacker. So Alabama's obviously had a lot of success with that inside linebacker position going back just in terms of Coach Saban's run at Alabama with the Rolando McClains of the world, the CJ Mosley type players, Dante Hightower, the list goes on. And I think Dylan's the next in line that has a legitimate chance to be an All-American type player and a potential first round NFL draft pick. And going back to what I was talking about before, even with him missing last year, he was still going to be in position to be a second or third round NFL draft pick based on the feedback that I was getting from NFL people. And the expectation now with him coming back to school is that he has a chance to have that kind of year where it ends with him being in the mix for All-American honors and potentially being in the mix also to be a first round NFL draft pick, maybe the latest Alabama first round linebacker.
You're not going to find a player who's hungrier and more willing to win than Dylan Moses in 2020. Matt Zenitz, AL.com, joining us.